So welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Samsung Galaxy S2. I've been meaning to do this for a long time, but I've waited for the update to Ice Cream Sandwich or Android 4.0, which took a lot longer. It's not my fault, it's Samsung's side. It took a lot longer rolling it out than expected, but I finally got it, so I'm going to go ahead and do my review of the phone now. So we'll start off with the specifications of the phone. So this phone is sporting a 1.2 GHz dual-core processor, has a 8 megapixel rear facing camera along with a 2 megapixel front facing camera, which also features 1080p video recording. It has GPS, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, HSDPA+, all that stuff you would actually expect in a smartphone of this caliber, so nothing missing there. Also features the Super AMOLED Plus display, which is a non-pentile display, which I'll explain a little bit more about later in the video. So we'll go ahead and look at the design of the phone itself. So the main construction of the phone is plastic. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of plastic kind of devices. I do prefer a kind of metal finish or a kind of smooth glass kind of finish like I find on the iPhone. But I'll forgive this phone because it does look fantastic. Plastic is high quality, it's really well made phone, so great marks there, top marks there for the design. The only issues I had is that the back of the phone, the back cover, is very flimsy, thin plastic which could easily break. You could easily snap it with your hands, so it doesn't provide a lot of protection to the back of the phone. And also the slight bezel of plastic around the edge of the screen is quite weak, and I've managed to get a few cracks and dents in it after just a few weeks of use, which was pretty disappointing. If I'd used a case I could have avoided this, but again I would have preferred them to use a bit of more durable material around the edge of the screen. So we'll go ahead and take a quick look around the phone, just see what kind of ports and buttons it's got on it. So on the bottom you'll find the charging port, but also the port for the USB. There's a small microphone there for the voice calls obviously, and you can just see the speaker grill on the back. On the left hand side you'll find the volume rocker, and that's pretty much it on the left hand side. On the right hand side you'll find the power button, which also acts as the sleep wake button. Up top you'll find a standard 3.5mm headphone jack. So if we go ahead and take the back off, you'll be able to see the SIM card slot there, the space for the battery, and of course a little space there for a micro SD card. So I'll move on to the display of the phone now. So it has a 4.3 inch Super AMOLED Plus display. So I'll explain a little bit more about what that plus means. What it means is that it is a non-pentile display, which in simple terms means there is a higher density of subpixels, which creates a sharper image overall. So even newer phones like the Galaxy Nexus and the upcoming Samsung Galaxy S3 actually use a pentile display. So thumbs up to Samsung for using this non-pentile display on this, because it does make up for the fact that this has a lower resolution of 800 by 480 pixels, giving it a PPI of 218. So it doesn't kind of fit into the retina category as Apple would call it, but because it is a non-pentile display, it is a very, very sharp display. Everything still appears very sharp on the display, very crisp display there. So you'll probably see the colours on the display are very vibrant, a little bit oversaturated maybe for some. So if you kind of like accurate colours on your display, then you might be a little bit disappointed with this. But personally I kind of like oversaturated colours, so everything looks fantastic on this display. Everything from YouTube videos and viewing photos look really, really great on the display. So I mean, I can't really stress enough, I really do like this display. So finally I'm just going to talk about the Gorilla Glass that you'll find on the front of the display. This is very tough glass. Obviously it's still glass, so if you drop it it's still going to smash. But it does mean it's very, very scratch resistant. I've been using this, I've had this in my pocket like with my keys and coins and everything, and I've noticed no scratches appearing on the screen at all, which is great. So thumbs up for Samsung for including Gorilla Glass. So next up I want to talk about the interface and usability of the phone. So by now I think most carriers have upgraded the Galaxy S2 to Ice Cream Sandwich. So if you want to see more about that, then I have done a separate video explaining the features and changes in that update. So Samsung's phone is running the TouchWiz interface. Some people don't like this, some people do. It's a bit of a hit and miss thing, but personally I find it okay. So you'll find at the bottom of the screen you have your standard icons, your phone, contacts, messaging, that kind of thing. And all these screens are customizable, so you can add widgets. You can see I've got a battery icon widget and the Google bar widget and the clock widget. There's all sorts of default widgets you can add, which is great if you really like customizing the interface of your phone. It uses the standard kind of app drawer kind of layout where you've got all your application icons laid out like so on the page. You can also create folders like I'm demonstrating here. So you can put a lot of different applications and things into folders. You can place things like links on your home page to websites and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a pretty customizable interface. Everything can be changed, added. You can download a lot of different things to add things on and all this kind of stuff. That's the really great thing about Android. So also I just wanted to talk quickly about the new multitask which is available in Android 4.0. So if you hold down the home button, you can quickly get a list of all the applications you have open and quickly snap between them, which is great. Again, I've explained a little bit more about these sort of features in my video about Ice Cream Sandwich. However, the new update has brought a few issues along with it. Some applications crash a lot more than they should. Some things don't kind of work as well, and I've noticed it sometimes freezes up. I'm kind of going to let Samsung off here because it is the first release on the phone, so I'm pretty sure they will release an update in the near future to kind of fix any bugs and things there. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the interface. I've got no issues with it. I find it easy to navigate, easy to use. It does take a little bit of getting used to, especially if you're coming from simpler phones like something like the iPhone, which I did. It did take a couple of days for me to kind of get used to where everything is. But once you do, it's a really nice phone to use. So I'm going to talk about the camera and video on the phone now. So I've already mentioned it as an 8 megapixel rear facing camera and a 2 megapixel front camera. So if we open up the camera application and we go into the settings, you can see there's a whole plethora of options to change from shooting mode. See, there's different C modes. You can change the exposure, change the focus mode from autofocus, macro focus, timers, resolutions, white balance, ISO, metering. There's like anti-shake features, all these kind of contrast changes, all this kind of good stuff, which is really great if you're someone who likes all these options. Maybe a little bit of a photographer on the side, but you don't like to carry a main camera with you, and you like a smartphone that has a good camera but also has all these options available, so you can mess about with them and get some really cool photos. And I will show some sample images. You can get some really cool photos with these. Up top here you'll find different icons. You can customize this bar, put all the different icons you want on. I've put the autofocus option on there, so I can change between macro and normal focus and the anti-shake feature and also the flash, so I can turn it on and off really quickly. So you'll also find it has a tap to focus feature, which is a pretty common feature on most smartphones, but it's a really good feature because it allows you to kind of get these really cool focus shots. So I will show some sample images of that. So you can kind of get these really good depth of field kind of shots by moving the focus point to different points of the image. So that is a really great feature. So I'm going to show some sample images now. You can skip ahead if you don't want to look at them all. These are all taken at 8 megapixels, the full resolution of the camera, and none of them are edited at all. These are all just raw files from the camera, and some of them kind of show off the depth of field focus effect that I was talking about earlier, which can be easily done by just tapping to focus on the part of the image that you want it to focus on. So I'll quickly talk about the video recording on the camera. It's capable of full 1080p recording, which is really great for a smartphone camera. You don't get as many options to kind of change things as you do with the stills camera, but you still get all the basic options. So the video quality is really great. I'll show some sample footage again. The only thing it's missing is some sort of stabilization feature, because the video can get quite choppy when you're recording, especially when you're moving about a lot. So I think that's the one thing that they could have included to make this much better. So the last thing I want to talk about is the battery life. It could be considered the most important aspect of the phone for some. So the standard battery is a 1650 mAh battery. Gives decent battery life. With moderate usage, you'll get about a day out of it. But if you want it to last kind of through the evening, you're probably going to need to top it up when you get home. The good thing is it only takes about 3 hours to charge from completely flat, so you can top it up quite quickly. I would recommend purchasing the extended battery. Just give you a little bit more battery life. I have done a separate video on this as well. If you want to check that, I'll put a link somewhere. Just give you a little bit more battery, because as soon as you start using heavy applications on the phone, such as the camera, viewing videos, playing games, it will drain the battery very quickly. So the good things about the Samsung Galaxy S2 is its great display. It's really fast. The 1.2 GHz dual-core processor makes everything really speedy, runs all games and applications really fine, no problems with it running anything. It's got a really good camera, and I think I really like the look of the phone. Even though it is made from plastic, which is not my favourite material, it's a really good looking phone. The only things that I think they could have improved was the flimsy back I don't really like it, but if you do buy the extended battery kit, you get a slightly thicker back to put on the phone. So yeah, again, that's kind of a solution. And also they could have made the little kind of plastic around the screen a little bit more durable, because as I've already mentioned, that cracked pretty quickly. But overall, I was really pleased with this phone. So why would you buy this phone now when there's the likes of the upcoming Samsung Galaxy S3 and the likes of HTC's One X, these smartphone kings that have just come out since the Galaxy S2's release? Well, this phone is going for a much lower price now because it has been out for a while. So for those of you who can't afford these expensive contracts for these new phones, can't afford these new phones, then this is a really good option. It's still a very, very good smartphone and will give you a top-class Android smartphone experience. So I would highly recommend this product. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this, and please leave me a thumbs up if you like this video. It really does help out the channel. Thanks for watching.